Chapters 25 through 32 of the Book of Exodus, from the Holy Bible in Modern English. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold. The Holy Bible in Modern English, translated by Ferrar Fenton. The Book of Exodus, chapters 25 through 32. Chapter 25. There the Ever-Living spoke to Moses and said, "Tell the children of Israel that they must bring offerings to me. From anything their heart induces them they may offer, and these are the offerings they may offer for themselves: gold, silver, and brass, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, and red, spun goat's hair, and red ram skins, and badgers' skins, and acacia wood. Oil for the light for the lamps, with oil to anoint, and incense to perfume, and make for me a sanctuary, and I will dwell amongst them. Exactly according to the pattern I have shown you, you shall form the dwelling, and form all its furniture. Thus you shall make it. You shall also make an ark of acacia wood, of 2 cubits and a half long, and 2 cubits and a half breadth, and 1 cubit and a half high. And you shall plate it with pure gold, inside and out, and wreathe and make a border of gold around it. You shall also cast rings of pure gold, and place on the 4 corners of it, that is, 2 rings on one side of it, and 2 rings on the other side of it. And you shall make staves of acacia wood, and plate them with gold, and put the staves into the rings on the sides of the ark, to carry the ark by them. The staves shall remain in the rings, they shall not be removed from them. You shall then put into the ark the evidences that I will give to you. You shall also make a cover of pure gold of 2 cubits in length, and 1 cubit and a half in breadth. You shall besides make 2 covers of gold, shaped as dishes, in 2 divisions for the covers. Make the cases thus: 1 for each side, and a cherub for that division of the cover. You shall make it with cherubim upon the 2 divisions. Thus the cherubim will be stretching their wings, as overshadowing the covers with their wings, with the wings of each towards his brother, over the covers. The cherubim shall be face to face. Then you shall place the covers upon the top of the ark, and you shall put into the ark the evidences that I will give to you. Then I will instruct you there, and I will speak to you from off the covers, from between the 2 cherubim, which are upon the ark, all that I command you for the children of Israel. You shall also make a table of acacia wood, 2 cubits long, and 1 cubit broad, and 1 cubit and a half high, and plate it with pure gold, and make a border of gold around it. Construct thus a border like a coping around it, and make points of gold upon the surrounding border. Also make for it 4 staves of gold, and put the staves in the 4 sockets which are above the legs. These 4 sockets shall be above the border for the staves to carry the table by. So you shall make the staves of acacia wood, and plate them with gold to carry the table. You shall also make dishes, and spoons, and bowls, and the cups in which the wine is, of pure gold, and place upon the table the shewbread before me continually. You shall also make lamps of pure gold. Make the lamp with spreading branches, with a stalk rising upwards like a blossom, with a bowl on it. Let there be 6 stalks going from the sides of it. 3 stalks for lamps on one side of it, and 3 stalks for lamps on the other side of it. 3 knobs with almonds on each stalk, a flower and a bowl, the same for each of the 3 stalks that are provided for the lamps, and for the 4th lamp a knob with an almond, a knob and a bowl, and a knob under 2 of the stalks between them, and a knob under 2 of the stalks between them, and a knob under 2 of the stalks between them, for the 6 branches that come from the lamp. The knobs and the stalks between them shall be, all of them, each one, turned from pure gold. You shall also make 7 reflectors to throw the light in front of themselves, and dishes and snuffers of pure gold. You shall use a talent of pure gold for it, and all its instruments. And be careful to make them according to the pattern I showed you on the mountain. Chapter 26. You shall also make for the tent 10 curtains of twisted linen, and azure, purple, and blue, ornamented artistically with 2 cherubs. The width of each curtain shall be 18 cubits, and the height of it 4 cubits. The extent of each curtain shall be the same to all the curtains. 2 curtains shall be attached one to the other, and 5 curtains attached one to the other. You shall also make loops of azure on the edge of each of the curtains in the selvage to join them, and make the same in the selvage of the 2 curtains to join them. Make 5 loops to each curtain. Thus make 5 loops on the selvage of the 2 curtains that are joined by the opposite loops to the first one. And make 5 golden hooks to unite the curtains, each to the other by hooks, so that they may be one tent. Also make curtains of goat skin as a covering for the first tent. Make 11 curtains of them. The length of the first curtain to be 30 cubits, and the breadth 4 cubits. Make each one of the 11 curtains the same. Then join 5 of the curtains together, and 6 curtains together, for the doublings of the 6th curtain in the front of the tent. You shall also make 50 loops upon the edge of the first curtain, upon the selvage at the juncture, and 50 loops upon the edge of the second curtain. And make hoops for the loops, and unite them for the pavilion, and let it be one. But part of the curtains must hang down from the roof of the pavilion. Half the curtains of the roof you shall hang over the back part of the tent, with a cubit on this side and a cubit on that side, for the fold in the length of the curtains of the pavilion shall hang down over the sides of the tent on this side and that side, to conceal it. You shall in addition make a covering to the tent of red ram skins, and a covering of skins of badgers all over it. You also make the boards of the sanctuary of acacia wood, planed. 10 cubits the length of each board, and a cubit and a half the breadth of each plank. You shall set clasps upon the first plank at the edges of each of its counterparts. You shall do the same to all the planks of the sanctuary. And make the planks for the sanctuary 20 planks for the face to the right, with 40 sockets of silver to fix under the 20 planks, 2 sockets under each plank to fix the clutches into. And upon the second side of the sanctuary, to face the north, 20 planks, and 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under each plank, and 2 clutches under each plank. And to the breadth of the sanctuary westward you shall make 6 planks, with 2 planks made for a corner of the sanctuary at its lengths. And there shall be rings to fasten them. For the one shall have a ring on the top of it to meet the ring of the other. This shall be for the 2 corners. That is 8 planks, with their sockets of silver, 16 sockets, 2 sockets for each plank. Make also crossbars of acacia wood, 5 to a plank at one side of the sanctuary, and 5 crossbars for the second side of the sanctuary, and 5 crossbars to the planks at the side of the sanctuary stretching west. And fix the crossbars in the middle of the planks, with bolts from one junction to the other junction. And overlay the planks and their rings with gold. Make also of gold rests for the crossbars, and plate the crossbars with gold, and erect the sanctuary according to the plan I showed you in the mount. Make besides a veil of azure, and purple and blue and red and twisted linen. Ornament it with an embroidery of cherubim, and place it upon 4 supports of acacia, overlaid with gold, with pins of gold, upon 4 sockets of silver. And hang the veil below the hooks, and bring there within the veil to the Holy of Holies the ark of the witnesses. Then put the covers upon the ark in the Holy of Holies, and place the table outside the veil, and put the lamp upon the table at the south side of the sanctuary, and place the table towards the north side. Then make a screen for the door of the tent, of azure and purple and blue, and have it embroidered with spun flax. Also make 5 standards of acacia for the screen, and plate them with gold, and have pins of gold, and cast for them 5 sockets of brass. Chapter 27. Make besides an altar of acacia wood, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits broad. The altar shall be square, and its height 3 cubits. And make horns to it upon its 4 sides. The horns shall project from it. You shall also sheathe it in brass. And make buckets for the ashes, and shovels, and brushes, and tongs. Make all its instruments of brass. Make also a net like a lattice of brass, and form on the network 4 projections of brass on its 4 corners, and fix it below the fireplace of the altar by its projections, so that the grating may be in the center of the altar. Make also staves for the altar, staves of acacia wood, and plate them with brass, so that the staves may go into projections, and let the staves be upon the two sides of the altar, to carry it by. Make it with hollow panels, such as were shown to you in the mountain. You shall make them the same. Make the court of the sanctuary to face towards the south. The curtains of the court of spun linen, 100 cubits in length on one face, with 20 standards, and 20 sockets of brass, with spikes to the standards, and hooks of silver. And then on the length of the north side 100 cubits of curtains, and 20 standards, with their 20 sockets of brass, with spikes for the standards, and hooks of silver. Let the breadth of the court to face the west be 50 cubits of curtains, 10 standards, and 10 sockets. And the breadth of the court to face the east, towards the sunrise, 50 cubits, with 15 cubits of curtains to the gateway, with 3 standards and 3 sockets. And from the other shoulder 15 cubits with 3 standards and 3 sockets. But for the gate of the court let there be a mask of 20 cubits, made of azure, and purple, and crimson, and blue, and red, and embroidered spun linen, with 4 standards and 4 sockets. All the standards around the court shall have silver connecting rods and pins of silver, and sockets of brass. The length of the court 100 cubits, and the breadth 50 by 50. And the height 5 cubits of spun linen with standards of brass, with all the furniture of the sanctuary, and all the service, and all its nails, and all the nails of the court of brass. You shall further command the children of Israel that they must bring to you pure pressed olive oil for the lamps, for a continual offering in the pavilion of the testimony, outside the veil which is over the evidences, providing it for Aaron and his sons to serve till the morning before the ever-living, as an everlasting institution for their descendants among the children of Israel. Chapter 28. And you shall separate to yourself Aaron your brother and his sons with him from among the children of Israel, to be priests to me. Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron. Also make sacred robes for Aaron your brother, to honor and beautify him. And speak to all the skillful-minded, who have a skillful intellect, that they should make those robes for Aaron, to consecrate him as a priest to me. And these are the robes which they shall make: a breastplate, and ephod, and a cloak, and a cape of embroidery, with a turban and girdle. These are the sacred robes to be made for Aaron your brother and for his sons, as priest to me. They must also bring gold and azure, and purple and blue and red and thread. Make the ephod of gold, azure, purple, blue, red, and spun linen embroidery. The 2 shoulder pieces shall be joined to it on the 2 sides, and fastened. And the embroidery which they work upon the ephod shall be of gold, azure, and purple, and blue, red, and spun flax. Then you shall take 2 onyx stones, and engrave upon them the names of the sons of Israel, 6 of their names upon 1 stone, and the names of the other 6 of them upon the 2nd stone, in order of their birth. You shall make the engraving like a seal. Having engraved the 2 stones with the names of the sons of Israel, you shall cause them to be surrounded with settings of gold. And set the 2 stones upon the 2 shoulders of the ephod, as stones of remembrance for the sons of Israel. And Aaron shall carry their names before the ever-living upon his 2 shoulders, for a remembrance. Make as well settings of gold, and 2 chains of pure gold. Make them with edgings, as a wreath is made, and fix the chains on to the settings. Also make a breastplate of justice, of embroidery like the ephod. Make it of gold, azure, and purple, and blue, red, and spun linen combined. It shall be square, a double span long, and a span wide, with settings in it, a setting of 4 stones in a row: a ruby, a topaz, and a diamond for the 1st row; the 2nd row, an emerald, a sapphire, a jasper; the 3rd row, a ligure, an agate, and an amethyst; the 4th row, an amber, an onyx, and pearl. They shall be in settings of gold with their fastenings. And the stones shall have the names of the 12 sons of Israel, their names engraven like a seal. Each shall have 1 name of the 12 tribes. Also make for the breastplate linked chains of pure gold, as a wreath. Also make for the breastplate 2 buttons of gold, and fix the 2 buttons on the 2 edges of the breastplate, and fix the 2 wreaths of gold upon the 2 buttons at the edges of the breastplate. And the 2 ends of the 2 wreaths you shall fasten on to the 2 settings, and put them upon the shoulders of the ephod, upon its front face. Also make 2 buttons of gold, and place them on the 2 sides of the breastplate, upon its edges, where the ephod turns over to its inside. Besides, you shall make buttons of gold, and fix them upon the 2 shoulders of the ephod, extending from the top of it to the juncture at the top of the girdle of the ephod, and shall bind on the breastplate by its button to the hook of the ephod, so that the breastplate shall not fall off from the ephod. Thus Aaron will carry the names of the sons of Israel upon the breastplate of justice, upon his heart, when he goes to the sanctuary, as a remembrance before God continually. Also fix onto the breastplate the Urim and Thummim, so that they may be over the heart of Aaron when he goes before the Ever-living, and Aaron shall carry justice for the children of Israel before the Ever-living continually. Also make for the cape of the ephod loops of azure, and let there be eyelets at the middle of the edge, at the seam around it, made like the weaving for the eyelets of a coat of mail, so as not to tear away. Also make upon the hem pomegranates of azure, and purple, and blue, and red on the hems around, and bells of gold beside them around, a bell of gold and a pomegranate upon the hem of the cape around. And they shall be upon Aaron when ministering, so that their sound may be heard at his going into the sanctuary before the Ever-living, and coming from him, so that he may not die. Make also a flower of pure gold, and engrave upon it like the engraving of a seal, Holiness to the Lord, and fasten to it an azure cord, that it may be held upon the turban, in the front of the turban, and be above the brow of Aaron, so that Aaron may carry their weaknesses to the sanctuaries when he sanctifies the children of Israel, sanctifying them with every offering. So it shall be above his brow continually, to bring favor to them from the Ever-living. Also embroider a robe of white linen, and make a turban of white linen, and make an embroidered sash. Also make robes for the sons of Aaron, and make for them sashes, and make them mitres to honor and adorn them. And clothe with them Aaron your brother, and his sons with them. Then consecrate them, and put a ring on their hands, and sanctify them, and they shall be my priests. Also make drawers for their legs, to cover their naked body from the waist, and to extend down the thighs. These shall be worn by Aaron and his sons when they go into the tent of the congregation, or to clothe them at the altar, when serving religion, so that they may not excite passion and die. This is a perpetual order to him and his descendants after him. Chapter 29. And these are the things you shall use in consecrating them to be priests to me. You shall take an heifer from the cows, and 2 perfect rams, and unfermented bread, and unfermented cakes mixed with oil, and then unfermented wafers buttered with oil, which you shall make of wheaten flour, and put them in a basket, and offer them in the basket with the heifer and the 2 rams. Then Aaron and his sons shall approach the door of the hall of assembly, and you shall wash them with water. Next you shall take the garments and clothe Aaron with the robe, and the cape of the ephod, and the breastplate, and you shall invest him with the adjuncts of the ephod. Then you shall place the turban upon his head, and the crown of righteousness upon the turban. Afterwards take the oil of consecration and pour it upon his head, and consecrate him. Then bring forward his sons, and clothe them with their robes, and gird Aaron and his sons with the sashes, and bind the mitres on them, which shall indicate the priesthood as a perpetual institution. Appoint Aaron and appoint his sons in this manner. Next you shall bring forward the heifer before the hall of assembly, and Aaron and his sons shall strike their hands upon the head of the heifer. Then slay the heifer before the Ever-living at the door of the hall of assembly, and take of the blood of the heifer, and put upon the horns of the altar with your finger, and the rest of the blood pour out at the foundation of the altar. Then take all the fat of the caul of the bowels, and the caul over the liver, and 2 kidneys, and the fat which is about them, and burn them before the altar. But the flesh of the heifer, and its skin, and the dung you shall burn with fire outside the camp as a sin offering. Then you shall take one of the rams, and Aaron and his sons shall strike their hands upon the head of the ram. Afterwards slay the ram, and take its blood, and sprinkle upon the altar all round. But divide the ram into portions, and wash its entrails and its legs, and lay them upon the portions with its head, and burn all the ram upon the altar. It is a whole burnt offering to the ever-living. It is a sweet odor to the ever-living. Afterwards take the second ram, and let Aaron and his sons strike their hands upon the head of the ram. Then slay the ram, and take some of its blood, and put upon the tip of the right ear of Aaron, and on the tip of the ears of his sons, and upon the thumb of their right hands, and upon the great toe of their feet, and sprinkle the blood all around the altar. Next, take some of the blood which is upon the altar, and some of the oil of consecration, and sprinkle upon Aaron and upon his robes, and upon his sons, and upon their robes with him, and sanctify him and his robes, and his sons and their robes as well. Afterwards take from the ram the fat, and the suet, and the fat of the caul of the bowels, and the lobe of the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is over them, for it is a ram of consecration, and 1 round loaf of bread, and 1 loaf buttered with oil, and 1 thin cake from the basket of unfermented cakes that are before the ever-living, and place the whole on the hands of Aaron and the hands of his sons, and they shall wave them before the ever-living. Then take them from their hands, and burn with incense upon the altar for a whole offering, as a sweet smell before the ever-living. They shall be for the ever-living. Next take the breast of the ram of consecration which was for Aaron, and you yourself shall wave it before the ever-living, and it shall be to yourself for a portion. And sanctify the breast of the wave offering, and the legs of the wave offerings which were raised up from the ram of consecration, which was for Aaron and for his sons, and they shall be for Aaron and his sons to take always from the children of Israel, a sacrifice of thanks. You shall raise them to the ever-living. And the sacred robes that are for Aaron shall be for his sons after him to be consecrated in, and to serve with their hands in them. The priests from his sons after him, who come to the hall of assembly for the holy service, shall be clothed in them 7 days. Next take the ram of consecration, and boil its flesh in the holy place. And Aaron and his sons shall eat the flesh of the ram, and the bread which was in the basket at the door of the hall of assembly. They shall eat it as a protection to them in the work of their hands, in the sanctuary alone. And a stranger shall not eat that holy thing with them. But if there remains any of the flesh of the consecration, or of the bread until the morning, you shall burn the remnants by fire. They shall not be eaten, because they are holy. Do this with Aaron and his sons, exactly as I have commanded. Thus for 7 days you shall fill their hands, and offer a bullock for a sin offering daily, as a protection for them, with a sin offering upon the altar to protect yourself. And you shall consecrate it to sanctify it. You shall protect for the altar 7 days, and sanctify it. Then the altar shall be holy of holies. All approaching to the altar shall be sacred. This is what you shall offer daily upon the altar: 2 lambs of a year old continually. Offer the first ram in the morning, and offer the second lamb between the dusks, with 1/10 of flour mixed with 1/4 of a hin of olive oil, and 1/4 of a hin of wine with the first lamb, as a drink offering. And offer the second lamb between the dusks, like the offering in the morning, and offer a similar drink offering with it, a sweetmeat to the ever-living, as continuous offerings from your posterity before the ever-living at the door of the hall of assembly, at the place he indicates to you, where he will speak to you. For I will show myself to the children of Israel, and will sanctify them by my majesty. Thus you shall sanctify the hall of assembly and the altar for me. But I will sanctify Aaron and his sons to myself as priests, and I will dwell in the midst of the children of Israel, and be their God, and they shall know that I am the ever-living, the God who brought them from the land of the Mitzrayim, and dwell in the midst of them. I am the ever-living God. Chapter 30. Make also an altar for incense of acacia wood. It shall be square, 1 cubit long and 1 cubit wide, and 2 cubits high from the base of it. And you shall plate it with pure gold, its top and its sides all round, and round its top make battlements of gold. You shall also make 2 projections of gold on it, below the battlements. Make also 2 golden rings below the battlements. You shall form them upon both sides, as sockets for 2 staves to carry it by. Make the staves of acacia wood, and plate them with gold. And place it before the veils which are over the ark of the witnesses, before the veils which are over the witnesses that give evidence to you there. And Aaron shall offer incense of spices upon it, evening by evening. He shall burn the incense at the lighting of the lamps. When Aaron's sons light the lamps between the dusks, he shall burn the incense perpetually before the ever-living among your descendants. You shall not offer upon it scattered incense, or whole burnt offerings or gifts, nor shall you pour a drink offering upon it. But Aaron shall expiate once a year upon its horns with blood. He shall expiate upon it with a sin offering of expiations once in a year, for your descendants. It is the holy of holies to the ever-living. Afterwards the ever-living spoke to Moses, saying, When you take a conscription of the children of Israel, to regiment them, then each shall give an expiation for his life to the ever-living for conscripting them, so that the Lord may not punish them for conscripting. This is the offering for every one passing to the conscription, half a shekel by the sacred shekel, 12 gerahs to the shekel. You shall offer half a shekel to the ever-living. Every one passing to the conscription from the age of 20 years old and upwards shall give this offering to the ever-living. The rich shall not add, and the poor shall not diminish from the half shekel, given as an offering to the ever-living, as a protection for their lives. And you shall take the protection money from the children of Israel, and give it to the workers in the hall of assembly. And it shall be as a remembrance for the children of Israel before the ever-living, to protect their lives. Another time the ever-living spoke to Moses, saying, Make a bath of brass, with a base of brass, for washing, and place it between the hall of assembly and the altar, and put water in it, and Aaron and his sons shall bathe themselves in it, both their hands and their feet. Upon coming into the hall of assembly, they shall wash with water, so that they may not die, when they approach the altar, to offer sweet perfumes to the ever-living. They shall wash their hands and their feet, so that they may not die. And this shall be a perpetual order to him and to his descendants in their generations. Again the ever-living spoke to Moses, saying, Now take to you perfumes, of heads of flowering myrrh 500, of sweet cinnamon 125, and of sweet cane 125, of sweet cassia 500 shekels weighed by the sacred shekel, and a hin of olive oil, and make from them the holy consecrating oil, a compound of compounds. It shall be a perfumed holy consecrating oil, to consecrate the hall of assembly and the ark of witnesses, and the table and all its instruments of the altar, and its furniture, and the altar of incense, and the altar of burnt offering and all its furniture, and the bath and its appliances. Consecrate them thus, and they shall be holy. Consecrate Aaron and his sons also. Consecrate them to be priests to me. Then you shall speak to the children of Israel, saying, This is the holy oil of consecration to me in all your generations. It shall not be poured upon a man's body, nor shall you make any of similar ingredients. It is holy of holies for you to the ever-living. The man who compounds like it, and whoever puts it upon a foreigner, shall be excommunicated from his people. The ever-living also said to Moses, Take to yourself sweet drops, and scented shell, and sweet galbanum, and pure frankincense of equal weights, and make of them a sweet compound, seasoned with pure holy salt, and pound it very fine. Lay some of it before the witnesses in the hall of assembly, where I will meet you. It shall be holy of holies for you. And this perfume that you make by weight they shall not use for themselves. It is sacred to you and the ever-living. The man who uses it as a personal perfume shall be excommunicated from his people. Chapter 31. The ever-living also spoke to Moses, saying, See, I have called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hor, of the tribe of Judah. I have also filled him with a divine spirit of skill, and understanding, and knowledge, and with constructive ability, and with inventive genius to work in gold, and silver, and brass, and to cut stone for all works, and to cut timber to work for any purpose. I have also given him Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan, and I have endowed him also with intelligence and science, so that they may construct all I have commanded you: the hall of assembly, and the ark of witnesses, and the covers which are upon it, and all the furniture of the tabernacle, with the table and its appurtenances, and the lamps of purity, and all their appliances, and the altar of incense, and the altar of burnt offerings, and all its furniture, with the bath and its bases, and the robes for service, and the sacred robes of Aaron the priest, and the robes of his sons to officiate in, besides the oil of consecration and the sweet perfumes, to sanctify all, as I commanded you. Afterwards the ever-living spoke to Moses, saying, Now speak to the children of Israel, and say, Take care and keep my Sabbaths, for they are a witness between you and me in your generations, that I am the ever-living who sanctifies you. Therefore you shall keep the rest, for it is sacred to you. Whoever curses it, he shall die, and whoever does work in it, that person shall be excommunicated from the community of his people. You may do your business upon 6 days, but on the 7th is the day of rest. It is a holy rest to the ever-living. All who do business upon the day of rest shall die. The children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath to make a rest for their posterity, as an everlasting covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 ages the ever-living made the solar system and the earth, but upon the 7th age he rested and refreshed. Then he gave to Moses, when he had finished his commands to him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tablets of stone, with the evidence written by the finger of God. Chapter 32. When the people saw that Moses delayed to descend from the mountain, they called upon Aaron, and said to him, Rouse up and make for us gods who may go before us. For as for this fellow Moses, who brought us up out of the land of the Mitzrayim, we know not what has become of him. Then Aaron replied to them, Pull off the earrings of gold that are in the ears of your wives, sons, and daughters, and bring them to me. All the people pulled off the rings of gold which were in their ears, and brought them to Aaron, and he took them from their hands, and modeled for it with a tool, and made a calf by casting, and said, Israel, these are your gods who brought you up out of the land of the Mitzrayim. Then Aaron paid it reverence, and built an altar before it. Aaron also proclaimed and said, A feast to the power tomorrow. So they arose early on the morrow, and offered sacrifices, and presented thank offerings. Then the people sat down to eat and drink, and got up to play. The Lord, however, said to Moses, Go, descend, for your people whom you led out of Mitzr have corrupted themselves. They have soon turned from the path which I commanded them. They have made for themselves a cast metal calf, and they are worshipping it. And they sacrifice to it, and say, This is your God, Israel, that brought you up from the land of the Mitzrayim. And the Lord said to Moses, I fear for this people, for it is a people of stiff neck. So now let me alone, and my anger will burn against them, and consume them, and I will make from you a great nation. But Moses fell upon his face before his ever-living God, and said, Why, Lord, should your anger burn against your people, whom you have brought up out of the land of the Mitzrayim with great power, and with a strong arm? Why should the Mitzrites say, He brought them out for evil, to kill them among the mountains, and to exterminate them from the face of the earth? Turn away your anger and forgive your people. Remember Abraham and Isaac and Israel your servants, what you swore to them by yourself, and promised them that their race should be as numerous as the stars of heaven. And also of this land which you promised to give to their descendants, to inherit forever. So the ever-living had compassion upon the sin which his people had done against him. Then Moses turned and descended from the hill, with the 2 tables of the law in his hands, both tablets written upon both sides with writing. And God had made those tablets, and God wrote the writing that was engraved upon the tablets. When Joshua heard the voice of the people at Sin, he said to Moses, There is the sound of war in the camp. But he replied, It is not the sound of contention with swords, nor is it the sound of contention in charging that I hear the roar of. And when they approached the camp, and saw the calf and the dancing, then the anger of Moses burnt, and he flung the 2 tablets from his hands, and broke them under the mountain. He afterwards took the calf which they had made, and burnt it in the fire, and ground it until it was like dust, and threw it upon the face of the water, and made the children of Israel drink it. Then Moses demanded of Aaron, "What have this people done to you, that you should bring upon them this great sin?" But Aaron replied, "Let not my prince's anger burn. You know this people, how bad they are, and they said to me, 'Make gods for us who can go before us.' For as for this fellow Moses, who brought us up from the land of the Mizraim, we know not what has become of him. So I said to them, 'Bring me gold.' And they brought it, and gave me it, and I threw it into the furnace, and this calf was produced." Then Moses saw that the people were in revolt, and had involved Aaron in their insurrection. Therefore Moses stood up at the gate of the camp, and cried, "Who is for my ever-living God?" When all the sons of Levi joined him. And he said to them, "Thus says the ever-living, the God of Israel, let every man bind his sword upon his thigh, go through and return from gate to gate of the camp, and kill every man his brother, and every man his neighbor, and every man his friend." So the sons of Levi did it as Moses commanded. And there fell of the people in that day 3,000 men. Moses afterwards said, "Your hands today have worked for the ever-living. Thus each man has gained for himself a blessing through his son and through his brother." Some days afterwards, however, Moses said to the people themselves, "You have sinned a great sin. So now I will offer to the ever-living a ram as an expiation on account of your sin." Therefore Moses turned to the ever-living and said, "Certainly this people have sinned a great sin, when they made a god of gold for themselves. But yet remove their sin, and if not, strike me out of your book which you have written." Then the ever-living answered Moses, "What is their sin to me? I will strike them from my book. But now go, lead the people to where I command you, and my messenger shall go before your face, and in the day of visitation I will visit upon them their sin." Thus the ever-living punished the people for what they had done, regarding the calf that Aaron had made. The end of chapters 25 through 32 of the book of Exodus. Recording by Mark Penfold.